Good morning นะครับ everyone. Right. So today we are going to continue talking about the Power BI นะครับ that we study from Monday นะครับ I hope that all of you are like wake up already and are good today นะครับ Okay, today it's rise and shine out there นะครับ in Bangkok. All right นะครับ so everyone just like open up your Power BI นะครับ that we use from the last class, and then I have just like the recap for what we studied from the last class. Okay, just one below นะครับ all right, on the last class we talk about, hang on, let me just open my file นะครับ we talk about the file that we open up, sorry, that we created in our Microsoft Power BI นะครับ so you can see that the file that we created by using Power BI desktop นะครับ it is called as the report file นะครับ Microsoft Power BI desktop document นะครับ or the extension of the file is .pbix นะครับ on the last class we created a file that is called ABC sales report นะครับ so the way in order to create the Power BI report file is that we just do like this นะครับ okay I went to start my Power BI desktop นะครับ it's here. So when I start the Power BI desktop on the last class, the first thing that we have to do is that we have to get the data into our Power BI นะครับ so on the last class some of you asked me that does it matter if you do not log in to your account in Power BI? The answer is that no problem at all ครับ but anyway when you do not log in sometimes Power BI will pop up and just like keep asking you to log in นะครับ what is the advantage of logging in into our Power BI account I mean to Power BI so firstly if you would like to share your Power BI with your colleagues we can use we can log in into Power BI and then just save it in the share drive นะครับ that is I mean if you would like to save in for Power BI you save it in the OneDrive นะครับ the Microsoft OneDrive นะครับ that is different from Google Drive okay so that means for your colleagues นะครับ if they have the Microsoft account as well they can just like use that Microsoft OneDrive in order to see what you created for the Power BI, and then they can help you to edit that Power BI file as well. Okay, but if you don't log in, no problems. For the Microsoft account, you can use like you can just like subscribe for Microsoft account or if you have Hotmail, you can use that account the Hotmail account as a logging in account for Power BI desktop, or you can use like our Mahidol's email account that is ended with @mahidol.ac.th in order to log in into this Microsoft Power BI desktop as well okay so now we just like talk about like the file that we get from the last class that we use from the last class whenever we would like to use the data from like any other sources of Power BI the terms that we use is called get data and then it will ask you that what kind of data that you would like to get in Power BI there are lots of like the type of data or sources of data that you can use in this class we are going to learn about Excel workbook text/CSV and the other one is web is web. See that if you scroll down you see the web in here these are three major sources of data that we are going to use okay so and after that what did we study on the last class for the data source that we get okay we had the ABC sales for Power BI นะครับ this one you can see that the first type of the data in Power BI desktop that we use นะครับ is from Excel file. In this example, you can see that we have like 7 worksheets นะครับ in one workbook. When you just like get the data into Power BI นะครับ for these 7 worksheets, you may get one worksheet at a time, or you may just like get everything in one hit นะครับ sometimes นะครับ in the new version of Power BI นะครับ they call it as importing นะครับ but in the past when Power BI is originated create they call this way in order to bring the data into your Power BI report file as getting only นะครับ because they don't want to make you confused between 2 different terms, getting and importing, because they try to tell the users that importing is the way that you import the template of Power BI from other files นะครับ into this report file, while getting means that you get the data นะครับ like Excel, like web, like some other databases into your Power BI report file. Okay, but right now they just like try to mix up these 2 words already. Now let's see. In order to get that file, we go to home, and then we can choose get data and then choose Excel workbook, or you can choose Excel workbook here, or you can choose import data from Excel, the same thing. Okay. After that, when we get the data from Excel, once you open it up, it's like show you for all of the worksheets that we have got in that file or in that workbook. My suggestion นะครับ in this one, if you have the original source of data that is Excel workbook นะครับ and if you open it up or edit anything นะครับ close it first before you just like get into Power BI นะครับ otherwise it might just like be what to say, the inconsistency of the data. For example, if you edit something on Microsoft Excel but you haven't saved it yet, and you try to open up or getting it into Power BI, the things that you get is the older version of data นะครับ so that's why you better save it นะครับ and the best way to make sure that you save it already is that you close that file นะครับ you close that Excel file before you get in Power BI. So when you go to that file, you open it up, it shows all of the worksheets inside that workbook นะครับ in this case, you can see that when we have like 7 workbooks all together, suppose I just get one worksheet only. Okay, I click load. I can click load. It takes some time, right? Okay, here. So you can see that in here on the right hand side, once I get any worksheet already, on the right hand side it shows the name of the table นะครับ this in each worksheet in Excel, Power BI desktop, we call it as a table นะครับ in here, so it's a table called categories นะครับ so you can see that it's under fields. What does it mean? If you click นะครับ on the greater than symbol here นะครับ in front of categories table, you see that list of the fields นะครับ fields in Power BI, actually it is columns in Excel นะครับ that we studied before. Okay, sigma symbol means that it's summable. You can sum that field. That means that field or that column is number นะครับ but actually category ID we don't sum it for sure นะครับ but this one it just tell you that because it is the number. If you would like to sum, you can do it นะครับ this is summable field. Okay, suppose you say that one worksheet is not enough, you can also get other worksheets นะครับ into this Power BI or other tables into this Power BI. For example, if you said that in one file นะครับ or in one workbook you store all the sales transactions, but in another workbook นะครับ we store the product information then you can get the product information into this Power BI report file to explain what product that you sold as well นะครับ in this one we have categories already then we just like get other worksheets นะครับ into our Power BI so for the getting นะครับ data into Power BI you have navigator box like this it tells you what worksheets do we have in this source of data or what tables do we have in this source of data because if you try to get the what to say data from the database นะครับ they have tables already and it looks similar to the worksheet in Excel like this นะครับ we have suggested tables but in this class นะครับ and in the future I recommend you try not to use suggested table นะครับ because you know the table you know the data better than Power BI so Power BI might suggest something orders customer and product but actually it's not enough นะครับ because we need to have some other tables as well that's why these 3 tables are not enough I decide to use other tables by myself on the right hand side it shows the preview of the data นะครับ in each table if you just like move the mouse pointer to click on each table it shows นะครับ the preview of the data นะครับ you can see that in here นะครับ if you have a look on orders table you have thousands of records นะครับ but in this preview it just like preview the first 100 records only นะครับ okay they said that okay data in the preview has been truncated นะครับ means that truncated means that removed นะครับ due to size limits in here but it shows every columns นะครับ it shows every columns or every field that we have got you have like 2 buttons that you can do with the data if you just like want to get into this Power BI one is to load means that you would like to get the data directly without changing anything because you can just like change it later while the next one transform data means that it just like jump to another program that is what we call Power Query Editor to edit your data straight away นะครับ before you load it into Power BI okay in this case suppose I decide to load everything into Power BI นะครับ like this so it takes some time นะครับ in order to let Power BI to load the data นะครับ into the Power BI report file นะครับ so in this report file you can see that we have three views altogether that are report view data view and model view นะครับ okay so for the report view it's the view that we use in order to create visualization on this blank page นะครับ on this blank page so you can see that in here นะครับ in here the space for the blank page in here is just like quite limited so that means okay if you would like to create the dashboard you can do it นะครับ or if you would like to separate the visual into different page you can do it as well นะครับ by just like click adding the new page นะครับ into the report file and then you just like create the visual into each page นะครับ that I'll talk about it next on so now let's go back to the view we go to the data view data view is the view that we use in order to see what data that we have got นะครับ in this view it shows every single piece of data that you have นะครับ it will not truncate anything for example if I go to orders you can see that in here we have 831 rows if you scroll down you see all of the data that we have got นะครับ in here this one is similar to Microsoft Excel นะครับ one thing that is different นะครับ from Power BI's data view and Excel is that in Power BI it doesn't allow you to edit the data directly for example if you say that okay the address here นะครับ is wrong นะครับ is wrong it's not number 67 you cannot change from here นะครับ if you double click it doesn't allow you to change the data นะครับ because Power BI นะครับ most of the time we intend to use the existing data นะครับ we use the existing data in order to visualize it rather than just edit each single cell นะครับ that we have got okay so นะครับ you can just like go to the right hand side นะครับ right now you can see that we have 7 tables all together and when you click on each table it shows the content of that table for you next on นะครับ we talk about the last view that is model view model view is the view that help us in order to see the relationship of each table you can see that right now there is no relationship at all นะครับ if it has relationship you will see the link between each box each box represent each table in your report file นะครับ in your report file so in each box นะครับ it shows the name of the table with the list of the field นะครับ that table contains right now you can see that some tables it contains the field name column 1 นะครับ column 2 and so on that is not correct one นะครับ so this one is the reason why the relationship cannot be created normally Power BI will try to create the relationship automatically for you นะครับ how can Power BI create the relationship it will consider the name of the field in different tables it will consider the list of the data นะครับ in each table นะครับ that consists of like that field for example if we say that we have product ID นะครับ appear in 2 tables Power BI will try to analyze that okay one table which has the product ID does it have the product name or not so that it can be just like useful for another table that requires the name of the product because actually another table may have just product ID without its name so that means if Power BI link these 2 tables together for sure the users will be able to display the product name นะครับ in the visual so it links for you but this one you can see that there's no linkage or relationship at all we have to edit sorry we have to just like transform นะครับ or fix the problem that happened first after that นะครับ when you say that okay there's no relationship now นะครับ don't worry you have to fix the problem first and then we come back to see this one once again okay after that นะครับ when you just like have a look and we found that some tables has the problems for example in this one you can see that okay customers table doesn't have the correct headers orders table doesn't have the correct headers because it has column 2 3 4 5 and so on นะครับ if we analyze from our original source of Excel file in here you can see that one reason that happened is because you can see that because we have maybe some another row that we just enter some data normally Power BI will use like the first row of data to be the headers that's why this one has a problem นะครับ in the reality we can have like couple of ways in order to fix it นะครับ we may just like delete the data from the original Excel file before you get into Power BI but in this class นะครับ I can tell you that in our final exam don't delete or change anything in Excel นะครับ I want you to do it in Power BI only นะครับ why do I would like you to do in Power BI because in the reality if you get the data from other sources for example from the database or from the web you cannot change anything on the original source of data for example the data you get is from let's say cash registration machine in 7-Eleven นะครับ that one we call that kind of I mean when you go to 7-Eleven or any convenience store we will see the machine that looks similar to the computer with the drawer cash drawer underneath that one นะครับ we call it as POS system or point of sales นะครับ system. So the things that POS system work is like this ครับ when you go to buy the stuff นะครับ you can see that it has a drawer with a cash registration machine right here. This is POS system, right? When you just like buy anything, it scans the product and calculate the price for you นะครับ so when the sales transaction has been committed already นะครับ if you finish buying the product from Excel from 7-Eleven already, the things that happen is that นะครับ the sales transaction will be sent into the server นะครับ will be sent into the server like this นะครับ from the POS. After that, if you say that you are in the headquarters นะครับ you are in the headquarters, what will happen if you use Power BI to get the data from database like this? You cannot change anything นะครับ directly from the data that you get from the table, because if you change any data from the table, it means that it impact the original data in server as well. So nobody allows you to do so. The way that they allow you to do นะครับ is that they allow you to read นะครับ just read the data นะครับ just read the data into your computer นะครับ into your Power BI. And after that, you go to use the transforming the data or Power Query editor to just like fix this problem. So it doesn't impact the original source of data at all. So that's why I try to tell you that if you would like to edit some tables, you have to do it in Power BI only. Don't do it in Excel. Okay. So when we have this idea already, now let's go back to Power BI and see how do we gonna fix this problem. When you see that some of the tables like this has the problem of their headings, the things that we have to do is that we have to go to a tool in Power BI that is called Power Query Editor. The Power Query Editor can be accessed by using Home menu, Transform Data, and then you click Transform Data. When you click Transform Data already, it opens up another program that is called as Power Query Editor. You can see that this one is Power Query Editor, right? Okay. So if it shows the yellow bar to refresh the data, you just click refresh first. Okay, right. Okay, now this is the structure of the table that you can just like fix. Once you just like do anything, for example, if you change the headers, if you delete some rows of data, bear in mind that it will be updated or changed or deleted in your Power BI report file only. The original source of data, we still have the same old thing. So that means don't worry if you just like change or delete any columns, delete any rows, change the headings in this Power BI report file or in this Power Query Editor, the data that is in server is still there. You don't touch anything over there, don't worry. Also, this one, we get the data from Excel file. When you just like change or fix anything in Power BI or in the Power Query Editor, the original source in Excel is still there. We don't touch it. Okay. Now, so when we have to fix a problem, you have to locate the problem first. So in this one, on the left, on the Power Query Editor, there are three major parts that you have to know. The top part, that is the menu and the ribbons. They are the menus that we can use in Power Query Editor. Normally we use the home menu in order to fix the problem. That should be enough. So you can see that in here we have the manage columns, reduce rows, and transform. These are three major group of menus or group of functions that we have to use in Power Query Editor. So most of the time when you just like get the data into Power BI, most of the time the problems are that the first one, it has wrong column name or field name. Second one, you may not want some columns of data. Third one, some rows of data are wrong. Fourth one, the format of some columns is not correct. Fifth one is that the data has like some junk or the garbage inside, and then you have to eliminate it. So these are just like major problems that we found. The things that we have to do is that we just analyze first what's going on. The term queries in Power Query Editor the term query is the same meaning as table and has the same meaning as worksheet in Excel, the same thing. So right now we have 7 queries. That means we have 7 tables or 7 worksheets same meaning. Then you just identify the problem first. For query category, no problem, it's okay. For customers, okay, here it has a problem already because column name is wrong. So we've excuse me, we found that the problems is that, okay, the headers of this table is wrong because the real header goes to row number 1 data. So the things that we have to do is that we have to find a way in order to move this data to become the headers instead. So the way to do is that you just go to home menu and then we choose in the transform group, we choose use first row as headers and then click for it. Then it just like move the first row of data to become the headers. Now we fix the problem already. Next one, employee. No problem, it's okay. Orders query, same problem. The correct headers is pushed down to be row number 1 data or data in record number 1. So we have to just like go to home menu, transform, and then use first row as headers. And then we can scroll to check whether other things are correct or not. Okay. Next one, orders detail. Order detail are okay, no problem. Next, products. For the product, it has a problem again because in here you can see that apart from wrong headers, the next one is that we still have another row that is the now row. So this one we don't want to have the now row. Somebody may fix the problem by just using use first row as headers twice. So first time the now row will become the headers, and then you just like do it again to make product ID, product name, and so on to be the headers instead. That might be the first way to do. Every time that you do any actions in the Power Query Editor, in each query or in each table, it will record the steps that you have done on the right hand side. So right now if I just like say that I use first row as headers, see what happened. Right now every single column has column 1, column 2, column 3, and so on as a headers. That is still wrong, but I want you to see the right hand side. We have 2 more steps that has been inserted. One is called promoted headers 1. The other one is change type. So in here the action that happened is from top down. When there are new things, it will add more in the lower rows like this. If you have more, or if you do anything more, it will just add more rows into apply step. So if you want to undo anything, you can see that Power Query Editor doesn't have undo for you. You don't have the undo button. So in order to undo, you go to apply step and then we just reverse the step that we did from bottom up. In this one, it means that you have to delete the change type 1 first. This one is generated automatically for change type 1. You don't want it. And if you say that the headers that was created is wrong, you can delete it as well. Now you can see that we get the original table already in here. So that was the first way in order to just use the first row as header. But I mean, like in this case, if you don't want the first row that is now row, you may delete this row first. In order to delete this row, you can see that it's different from Excel because you cannot go to highlight this row and right click and then delete because it doesn't show any delete button here. The things that you do is that you go to the menu, home menu and then go to remove rows. It will ask you that which row that you would like to remove. We choose remove top rows because right now we don't want row number 1, right? You choose remove top row. Power Query Editor will ask you that how many rows would you like to delete from the top. For example, if you say that, okay, the first 10 rows are just like the rows that we don't want to have a data. So you just specify 10 rows. But in this one, it is just like 1 row that we don't want. Then you choose 1 rows only and then click OK. So right now, the now row means the row that is empty. There's nothing in there. It's eliminated already. So you can see that the step that is created is called remove top rows. This is what we want. After that, you can just like use first row as headers as usual. And right now, you have the correct headers already. So what is the next thing that you have to do? Okay, after we just like check already and we found that all the column headings are correct already. The next thing is that you have to clean the data. You have to clean the data. How to clean it? What does it mean by cleaning the data? Clean the data, or in terms of the data science and data analytic fields, we call it as data cleansing. Data cleansing. Sorry, data cleansing or to clean the data. In which manner of the data that should be cleansed? The first one, wrong data type. Second one, junk or garbage records. Third one, duplicate records. Fourth one, blank rows or empty rows that you don't want. Then all of these reasons are the reasons that need data cleansing. Okay, so how do we gonna clean the data? Normally we use Power Query Editor to help cleaning. There's nothing much. We use Power Query Editor to help. Some of you say that can I use Excel directly? It depends on the style of the people. Some of the people, if they say that data is in the database, they may ask the owner of that data to export the data into Excel for them first, so that they can use Excel in order to manage the data. If you are just like keen in Excel, you can do like that. Somebody said that I don't want to waste the time, because I mean, like, some of the sources, the data I get is the online database, and I cannot just like ask the owner of the database to just like download it as Excel file for me every day. Or sometimes you say that you want it this morning, you say that you have the time from 8 to 9 o'clock to just like prepare the visualization, and after that you have to go to the meeting. Wow, the database owner may say that they will be available to do it for you after 11 a.m. something like that. So you can see that you cannot just like wait for other people to generate the Excel file for you. The things that you have to do is that you get the data directly from the database and then just use Power Query Editor to fix that problem. you have to know that, okay, some of the database นะครับ are the database that you subscribe from the database, or sorry, from the information service provider. So some of you may have heard these companies ครับ Reuters, Bloomberg นะครับ These are examples of the company that they define themselves as information service providers นะครับ some of you may have heard these two names as the news agency นะครับ as a news agency, right? When we watch นะครับ some news นะครับ or local news, they get the data or pictures from Reuters or from Bloomberg. I can tell you that for these two companies นะครับ the news agency is just one service นะครับ it is one product of this company นะครับ that provide to their customers นะครับ so okay, let me just give you an example นะครับ if I go to the website like this, okay, this one Reuters.com. You can see that this one is just like it looks like the news agency นะครับ to provide the information for you นะครับ like this, same as CNN ครับ the same, but this one is just one product นะครับ actually the products such as stock price นะครับ like this one, the real-time one นะครับ like right now the stock market in some countries นะครับ might be opened already, and you are interested in just like analyzing the stock market in China, in Hong Kong นะครับ or in Korea, something like that. You have to just like subscribe นะครับ for the real-time stock information from Reuters. So what happened when you would like to get the data from Reuters that they provided as the online database? You have นะครับ a channel นะครับ not on this website. They give you a special website นะครับ or special link that you can just like connect นะครับ that link into our Power BI. When you just like open up the Power BI, it just like fetch the data นะครับ from these sources and then provide you with the information. Sometimes if the owner of that database, like such as Reuters, they modify some structures of the data in the database, the data that you get into Power BI นะครับ might be shifted. For example นะครับ for example นะครับ the field country นะครับ might be changed or might change the name, something like that. Then you have to go to Power Query Editor to fix it up นะครับ that is the way that you have to do. So นะครับ the first thing that you have to know about us like the data cleansing นะครับ is that to just like check นะครับ and review or review all the data type นะครับ of each column first or each field first นะครับ okay, so you can see that นะครับ first one I go to categories table. I said that, okay, right now if you have a look นะครับ on the categories table, category ID นะครับ has the numbers as the category ID, while category name and description they have text นะครับ. That is the data type of these columns or in all these fields. You might see that, okay, for category ID, you don't want it to be numbers because sometimes when you are in Power BI desktop นะครับ if any fields นะครับ that is showing as numbers, it will be summable, if you remember, right? The summable ones. And when you just like try to create a visual นะครับ it may just like try to sum those numbers for you, but actually category ID shouldn't be sum, shouldn't be summable. Then somebody decide to change the category ID to be text instead, so that Power BI will not confused. So the thing that we have to do, if you would like to change the data type, my suggestion is that if you would like to change the data type, just come to Power Query Editor and change the data type here. Actually, Power BI itself on the Power BI report page like this one. If you go to model view, if you go to data view, you can just like also change the type of the data as well. But it's not as good as when we change in the Power Query Editor. Because in Power Query Editor, it records everything that you have done. And it shows you that, okay, if you don't want, you can reverse or you can undo. While you change in while you change it in the data view, you cannot reverse it and you don't know what you did. Okay, so that's why I recommend you to go to Power Query Editor and change the data type here. Next one, when you change the data type of a field already, make sure that other tables that consist of the same field will have the same data type. For example, right now you can see that on my screen, category ID is number. I want to change it to be text. Then I have to go to other tables that consist of category ID as well, in order to have the same data type. For example, in here in the table product, supplier, category ID is number, right? You have to change it to be text as well, so that it can compatible with the category ID that you change in the categories table. Okay, so to change, I just click on the symbol in front of the field name in here. When I click, you can see different data type that I can choose. In this one, I choose text. Okay, before you make a decision, you can see that if you do some steps that is necessary to be recorded, Power BI Query Editor will ask you that would you like to replace existing conversion or preserve existing conversion and add new conversion as a separate step. My suggestion in this class, always use add new step, always use add new step, so that it will be the new step in here. Why is that? Because you will know what you have done and then you can undo it. Otherwise, if you choose replace current already, when you undo, it just like undo many steps for you, that it might not just like go back to the step that you want to have. So that's why I always choose add new step. Then I choose add new step. You can see that I have change type step here. Okay, now I go to do the same thing with product table. I have to change category ID to be text as well to correspond with what we did with the categories table. Then I choose add new step 2. Okay, so right now, okay, let's see what else. Okay, for categories table, nothing more. For customer table, okay, it's okay now. All are text. Employee, for the birth date, hire date, that are okay. Reports too, it's the numbers like this, because you can see that there's a now value here. Then I just like try not to change anything. I leave them like this first. Otherwise, it will impact the structure of data, especially for this one. For the second record that reports to now in here, it should be like this, because if you just like change it to be text already, instead of having now, it might just like convert to some other data instead. Okay, now we go to orders. I say that I want to change order ID to be text. Add new step. Order details that has the order ID column. I would like to change it to be text too. Then I go back to see what else do I have to do. If I say that in order detail, I want to change product ID to be text. Okay. So in the product table, I change product ID to be text too. Okay. Right. Okay. For product table นะครับ supplier ID I want to change it to be text too. I change it to be text. Then I have to change supplier ID in the supplier table to become text as well นะครับ add new step. Okay. So right now I think it should be okay for now because when I change all things already นะครับ I just like have to go back to my Power BI screen in order to just like see what happened when I just like try to make a visual นะครับ on this data. The things that we do นะครับ in order to go back นะครับ to the Power BI screen. You can see that right now we are in Power Query Editor นะครับ In order to go back, you have to click close and apply so that Power Query Editor will save all of your actions. If you click on close button here นะครับ and you accidentally choose cancel something like that, it clear out all the things that you have done นะครับ Now we go to home menu, click close and apply ครับ Everything will be saved นะครับ and effect to your Power BI. All of the tables that you modified นะครับ will be updated in the model as well นะครับ Now we come back to Power BI desktop screen already. If we go to model view นะครับ this is what we get. You can see that right now all the tables are linked นะครับ together นะครับ they are linked together. The things that you should do นะครับ when you just like see the lines that are linking among different tables already นะครับ Try to check if the model still have a table without any linkage. You have to see and analyze what's going on. Normally, how does Power BI link? For example นะครับ if you have a look, I show you for this table. Okay, let's see. For example นะครับ we talk about this link ครับ orders detail and product. You can see that there is a line to link, right? So you can have a look which field นะครับ they are linking. So the field that they use to link must be the same name นะครับ If you just like move the mouse pointer over the line, you see the yellow line here, and then you see the gray color bar on the field name, product ID and product ID between these two tables. That means they are linking. If you just like want to see นะครับ I mean like sometimes if you just like cannot notice about the linking, you can double click on the line นะครับ and then it pops up the linkage for you. This is to edit the relationship นะครับ Now it is showing you that between order details table and product table, they are linking by using product ID นะครับ and I mean like when you just like study for more นะครับ advanced thing in Power BI, the main one นะครับ is the cardinality ratio that you link between these two tables นะครับ in here, and make this relationship active means that you intend to use these relationships นะครับ to display some data in your Power BI นะครับ leave them like that ครับ don't change anything ครับ and then you click OK. If you accidentally นะครับ delete this relationship, it means that right now นะครับ you don't have relationship between orders details and product. What does it mean? When you show any visualization นะครับ about the orders and order detail, you cannot show the product name anymore, because right now orders detail do not which has a product ID cannot identify the product name from it because you don't have any relationship. So when you come back, sorry, when you would like to fix this problem นะครับ suppose the product name doesn't show on your visual, what should we do? We come back to this one, to the model view, and then you see that, okay, in which table it shows the product name. You see that, oh, it's the product table. Now you see that, okay, whether the field that you use on your visual นะครับ is from what table. For example, you say that, okay, it's from orders detail table that has the product นะครับ and it also the things that you show is from orders table, order detail table, but it doesn't show the product name. Or if you try to just like show the product table in your visual, but it doesn't show the name of the product for you, just come to see the in the model view. You can see that right now it doesn't have the link between orders detail and product. The things that you have to do is that you have to create by yourself. It's easy, just drag product ID from order detail table and then release add product ID at the product table, and then they will link นะครับ let's try. I drag product ID นะครับ from order detail table and release add product ID นะครับ of product table นะครับ then you just wait. It is creating the relationship for you นะครับ it's here. Then you can check by double clicking on it. You can see that orders details are linking with the product by using product ID. Okay, this is what we want, and then you can click OK. Now this one, the model is recorded already. When you go to the report view, you can just like create the new visualization or the new visual in order to show the product name right now. Okay, so everyone, right now we just come back to the report view. Okay. Let's save the file first. Okay, if we just like fix or do something that change all the structures or the data already. Okay, let me save first. Okay, okay, because this morning I just like do the new thing, the new file, so that's why I have to save it. Okay, so when I save it already, the next thing that we are going to do is that we are going to see the visualization in the report view. What are we going to do? How do we going to create them? You can see that in the report view. In the report view. Okay. All right. Okay, so now we just like come to the report view. So what we have to do in order to show or to create any visual, we just like have three different things that happen on the right hand side. One is filter, another one is visualization, and the other one is field. Okay, firstly we have to use the visualization first. For the visualization here, you have to pick what visual that you would like to use to show anything that you want. After that, when you choose the visual or the type of the visualization already, you choose field that you would like to happen or to display in your visualization. Okay, for example, in here I say that I want to have a bar chart, in order to show the orders of the product that I have got. Then I just like go to visualization, and then I choose the chart type or the visual that I want to have. I click on stack column chart in here. So right now on the left hand side, on the report view, right now we are on page number 1. it shows นะครับ a gray color of the stack bar chart in here นะครับ you know immediately that okay right now it is the bar chart นะครับ and if you want to know what type of the bar chart we are using นะครับ you just click on that chart that picture and have a look in the visualization. Now you can see that it's the gray color for the stack column chart means that we are using it นะครับ after that when you choose a type of the visual already we go to the field to choose it. So in this one, suppose I say that I want the data from order นะครับ that is order ID นะครับ and I want to know what else I want to know quantity this is the quantity by order ID that I have got in here. Or if I say that I want to have some more thing, for example, I say that I want to know what product description that I have got นะครับ I'm not sure whether it excuse me whether it fits with this chart or not. We can try นะครับ just choose product name. Okay, so in this one what is this one showing นะครับ okay, you can see that okay if you would like to maximize นะครับ the chart in here to be viewed fully นะครับ you go to the bottom down นะครับ the bottom arrow นะครับ sorry the icon at the bottom of the chart นะครับ and choose focus mode นะครับ then you can just minimize filter visualization and fields นะครับ and then you can see the chart fully in here นะครับ it shows order ID and quantity นะครับ you can see that the order ID here the first one 10895 it consists of 4 products that are Boston crab meat Camembert Pierrot cheese นะครับ Chartreuse verte and then Guarana Fantastica นะครับ this is in the order นะครับ while the colors นะครับ are just like different products that we have got นะครับ in here but if you said no อาจารย์ I don't think this one looks nice because it just like it's too messy then you may just like change the visualization to any visual type that you want to have. For example, you say that I want to have the line chart instead นะครับ what should we do? Firstly, you can click on the chart นะครับ that you want to change the type. After that, you go to the visualization menu นะครับ choose another chart that you want to have. For example, in here I want line chart. Yeah, this is line chart that we have got. Okay, but if you say that for the field that I have, I think I don't want to know the order ID นะครับ but I want to know just the product and its quantity. I want to know the product name and the quantity. Yeah, so this one okay the chart is changed already. If the chart doesn't show for what you want นะครับ for example if it shows something like this นะครับ and you show product name if it shows like this you can see that it doesn't show the line chart as we want, right? In order to reset it just like uncheck นะครับ the fields that you don't want นะครับ and do it again. Now it comes back already. So somebody the way that they did was that they delete this chart first and then they create it again. You don't need to do so นะครับ just uncheck the fields that make the chart to be wrong and then create and then choose the field again. In this one นะครับ you can see that we have the product name and the quantity that we sold. Okay, suppose I say that this one the chart type if I use the product name and quantity the chart type should be the column chart or bar chart instead. Yeah, okay, in this one, you can see that it just like show the quantity that we sold for each product, something like that. Okay. So when we have this one already, the things that we should do is that, okay, you have to know how to control this chart. Suppose you say that, okay, you want to just like resize the chart, just click on the chart and just like go to the corner of the chart and then drag to choose the size that we have got. In case that you use the sheet the page as the dashboard, that we say that we require to have like we require to have like different type of visual in the same sheet something like that. You can just like make the size of the visual not to be too large so that you can fit many sheets inside the same page. Bear in mind that in one page you cannot scroll up, down, or left, right. You have just the space like this only. The reason is because actually Power BI is also compatible with other version of Power BI that is like the Power BI mobile. So in the Power BI mobile, it fits just like on your smartphone screen that is like small. So that means if you try to just like use if Power BI allow you to scroll up, down, left, and right, sometimes when you try to show the visual on the smartphone screen it is not effective. That's why they just like allow you to have like fit with the size of one page without scrolling only. And after that, okay, if we say that, okay, we have the bar chart, pie chart like this. I want to just like see the what to say, supplier. Company name and the units in stock of each supplier in here. So it tells us that, okay, how many items do we have got for the supplier in here, so that we know that, okay, which supplier has just like the least. For example, in here we can see that, okay, the refresh cost Americanas, we have just like 20 items of the products in the stock only or 0.64% of the stock, something like that This is the way that we can just like have different kind of charts in the same page Okay, when we have got this one already there are some kind of visual that is interesting some of the visuals that you can use in here and it's just like different from what we learned from Excel. It's like we have map and field maps. Okay, now let's talk about map first. For the map we use this kind of visual in order to show something that relates to the address that we have got. You can see that if you have a look of our data there are two places. There are two places that talk about the address. One is customer. It has a country, right? Another one is the orders. We have ship address. Okay. Now, if you want to know that, okay, how many orders that we send to each address. Okay, so in this one we may try. We just like click. We just like create a map chart, a map visual, and then we go to orders, choose order ID, and ship address full. Okay, so now let me just like show you what it means. In here, I just zoom in to focus mode. you can see that in here there are just like circles นะครับ there are circles นะครับ in each location something like this you can see that in here it has just like the location นะครับ and also they have just like many orders in there นะครับ in in one circle นะครับ when you have like many slices that means you have many of the orders นะครับ that happen in that place so in this example you can see that the same in the same address นะครับ for example 89 Jefferson Way Suite 2 Portland USA you have 4 orders นะครับ this address we deliver the products a lot นะครับ for 2817 Milton Drive in here there are a lot of orders in here นะครับ what about another type of the map that you can use excuse me this one นะครับ for the first type of map นะครับ it just like show the data that happen นะครับ or the frequency of data that happen in that specific location while the field map ครับ field map is the map that tries to tell us about the quantity นะครับ about the quantity and you can see that because order ID นะครับ because order ID is not the number if you remember we changed order ID to be text already right so that's why it doesn't show any field map because field map normally it shows the numbers นะครับ in that address so in this one if I change the field from order ID to be quantity instead actually it tries to show the quantity for you by the way นะครับ by the way the field map in here it's different from map because from map in this one นะครับ in this one for the map right now in each specific location you can just like show the data while the field map actually it's just like work only when you specify country only นะครับ what do I mean if you have a look นะครับ okay let's go back to the data view ครับ everyone I want you to have a look on the orders table นะครับ the orders table you can see that in the order table we have ship address full นะครับ that is the address that we deliver the products to what is the problem the ship address full here it shows the detailed address of that customer of that order you can see that the first example นะครับ of the record is 10250 in this one it shows the address นะครับ and you know that okay if you read นะครับ it's delivered to Brazil so because we are human beings then we can read that okay the ship address full we deliver this order at to Brazil but the computer cannot understand like that นะครับ they understand the whole text in here and think that it is an address for you by the way when it just like compare to the map it doesn't know where this address is what country it is it doesn't know then you need to solve this problem ครับ the first thing นะครับ you have to see the data first and analyze you can see that in here in the ship address full column it consists of like the full address of that order right okay so if I ask you นะครับ everyone could you please tell me in the chat box นะครับ where is the country located in the ship address full ครับ I want before you answer นะครับ I want you to scroll downนะครับ from the first record to the last record and tell me that okay where is the chip address, sorry, where is the country located in the chip address full? Scroll down and find the answer for me, please. Okay, we have 2 students have to answer this one. You can see that Sophie and Narinya said that they are at the end of the sentence or at the end after the last comma. Okay, interesting. You can see that, okay, if you scroll down, you can see that they are common for every single records. They are common for every single record. Okay, because in each record country is located on at the end of the sentence or at the end of this text. But one good thing that Narinya just like answer is that said at the end after the last comma, you can see that every single records before you have the country, you have the comma before and there are many commas. So this must be the last comma before you have the country so that's why in this one, this is interesting. The way that we have to do in order to just like get the country from this data, the things you have to do let's see. You have to extract the country out of this address so that you get the new information that is country, something like that. This is Venezuela. Okay, so the concept that we have to do is that you have to split the country from the chip address full and just like bring it to another column instead. Okay, what is my suggestion? If the chip address full column is important, try not to change the structure. What do I mean? If you say that chip address full is important, if you split the country out, you cannot have the chip address full anymore. You have part of the chip address. So in the real world, sometimes the chip address full, you may want to use it somewhere else. So in this example, I will just like show you how do we gonna make a new column or create a new column before we just like split them out so that we don't touch the original data. So what is the way that we are going to do? Firstly, I will create a new column absolutely with the same as the chip address full. Like I call it as chip address full 2. And after that, for the chip address full 2, they have same content as the chip address full. Then I can just like split this country out. And I have another column called country shipping country. Okay. And then I should have just Brazil, Belgium, and so on only. And when I finish this, I will delete chip address full 2 out. So finally, I have just chip address full and shipping country only. And I still have the original chip address full without touching it. Okay, this is the plan that we are going to do to get the shipping country. So we'll do together in here so that you know how do I gonna do it. Firstly, the first plan that I told, okay, the first plan that I do is that I would like to create another column called chip address full 2. In order to have this new column, the data is from chip address full. I'll copy the whole column to the new one. How do we gonna copy? So firstly, you click chip address full column first. Okay. in this one when you would like to do itนะครับ when you would like to do it I can tell you that in Power BI directly you cannot just like copy it straight away because you can see that you cannot say that okay when you have this oneนะครับ it is about the managing of the data. The best way to do is that you better do it in Power Query Editorนะครับ you better do it in Power Query Editor than in the Power BI screen. So in this oneนะครับ we just go to home นะครับ transform data to go back to the Power Query Editor once again ครับ now we go to orders table. This is ship address full that we have got, right? We want to create the ship address full too, okay? So the things that you have to do is that you click on ship address full. After that, you just right click and choose duplicate column. Now you have ship address full too already. In here it's called ship address full copy. The data inside the ship address full copy is absolutely the same as ship address full. Let me just delete it first. Okay, I do it again. I highlight. I click on ship address full column. Right click, choose duplicate column. Then I get the copy of the ship address full. After that, I just have to do the next step. That is to split the country out to be shipping country. What should I do in order to have the new column called shipping country? So now let's see in order to have a new column called shipping country, the action that I want to do is to split it, right? Because I said that I want just the country on the right hand side of or at the end of the sentence only. The way that we do you can see that we have a menu called split column is here. The split column menu here help us in order to split the data from the original column. So firstly, you click on ship address full copy first. After that, we choose split column. There are lots of options that you can choose. By delimiter, by number of characters, or by position. These are three major splitting options that we use. By delimiters, let me explain to you first. By delimiter is a symbol that is used to split any values, or when we consider some border or some area of the data, we will have like a specific symbol. For example, in this one, you can see that every single piece of data like address, home address and road will be splitted by using comma before they talk about the city. City will be separated from zip code by having another comma. Zip code is separated from country by having another comma. So we can conclude that this data has comma as its delimiter to delimit the data or to split the data out from one specific piece of information to another specific piece. So this is what we call delimiter. Next, number of characters. If you want to split column by number of characters, it is good when you know the exact position of the data. For example, let me give you an example. Suppose we have a student ID 6380123. Okay, this is an MUSC student, right? Okay, so you can see that if we say that we would like to split this student ID for different purposes, you do not have any delimiter นะครับ because this is just one piece of data. But we know นะครับ what we know is that the first 2 digits are the year that you enter นะครับ MUIC. 8 it means MUIC. 0, 1, 2, 3 is running number of your student ID. So if I want to make use, for example, I want to count นะครับ number of students นะครับ who are in 6-3 batch. Then I have to split this data. And I know that in order to have the student who just like start นะครับ entering MUIC in year 6-3, then I have to use first 2 digits of this student ID. Then I need to use split column by number of characters. First 2 นะครับ means the year that you enter. And if we say that we have a database for the whole MUI นะครับ the 3rd digit is important because it tells us that okay, which faculty are you studying at. So for example, I want to know that how many MUIC students do we have. Then I just cut นะครับ the student ID นะครับ and then I use just the 3rd digit only, that it must be number 8. That means MUIC students นะครับ so that is number of characters. Positions is as well นะครับ similar to number of characters. If you know that okay, you have very long text, for example, you have like 500 characters in this text. You say that you want to have character number 35 to 37, then you can specify the position that we have got. Okay, number of characters we use when we have just like small size of data like student ID, perhaps something like that. Okay, but in this case, we have to use by delimiter because we know that if you remember นะครับ Narinya said that okay, the country is located at the end after the last comma. Okay, this is very informative ครับ apart from knowing what delimiter that we have to use, you have to know that which position of that delimiter that you want to use as well. For example นะครับ you can see that the first order that we have altogether 3 commas. We use comma as delimiter for sure because as I explained earlier. And right now we want to know that which comma is the exact position to be the comma to separate the country out of other part of the address. So it's the last comma, right? Last comma here means that it's the last comma นะครับ on the right hand side or what we call the rightmost comma. In this one นะครับ let's try. We will split the country out of the new column that we just recently created. You highlight that column first. Choose split column by delimiter. Power Query Editor will ask you นะครับ for something นะครับ just answer to it. In this one, it asks you that what delimiter are you using? There are lots of things: colon, comma, equal sign, semicolon, space, or tab. Depends on the data นะครับ In the future, you see the delimiter in various forms. In this one, it is comma. How do you want us to split? I said that okay, my country is located at after the rightmost comma. So I choose rightmost delimiter นะครับ if you said leftmost of the delimiter, that means the street address will be splitted instead. If we choose each occurrence of the delimiter, it split every piece of data นะครับ into each column. For example นะครับ the street address is in one column, city is in one column, zip code is in another column, and country is in another column. That is not the best way to do because in this example นะครับ the chip address full, some of them has more than นะครับ has more than 3 commas. So if you split like that, it may cause a problem. But for sure in this example นะครับ every single record นะครับ the country is on the rightmost one นะครับ then it is split by the rightmost column comma sorry. After that นะครับ you just click OK and see what happened. So right now นะครับ on chip address full copy you don't have the country anymore. The reason is because the country is splitted into another column. นะครับ You can see that right now if you compare chip address full and chip address full copy. Chip address full copy is the address without country. นะครับ without country. So that's why I say that, okay, if you would like to use that chip address full later on, you cannot use it any longer. That's why I ask you to just like copy this column first before you split it. Okay. Okay นะครับ now we have the chip address full นะครับ with the country splitted already. I'll delete the copy of the chip address full นะครับ I don't want to use it because I have the original shipping address นะครับ The way to do in order to delete the column properly, you click on the column that you don't want นะครับ and then go to home menu in the Power Query editor นะครับ choose remove columns นะครับ The chip address full copy will be removed นะครับ but don't worry if you accidentally delete the wrong column นะครับ you can just like undo it by just go to the apply step and then delete remove column out นะครับ the chip address copy will come back in here. Okay, so I remove that extra column that I don't want. Now I have chip address full and the country. Then I rename the column. To rename the column นะครับ you just right click and choose rename. I name it as shipping country นะครับ and then you can use with just like your visualization that requires to have the country นะครับ in that chart or in that visual นะครับ and it will be fine. Okay, so นะครับ I want you to try playing with it นะครับ when you have time during the weekends นะครับ so that you learn how do we gonna split this data. If you do anything wrong, don't worry, you can always just like download the file from our e-learning นะครับ Okay, then now I just like finish this part. I get the shipping country that is splitted already. Okay, then นะครับ up to this point do you have any questions about like splitting this country from the chip address from another column? So if you don't have any question นะครับ just click close and apply so that it affects to our original data in Power BI นะครับ Okay, so you can see that right now we come back to Power BI screen already นะครับ and then we have shipping country as another new column that we created. Okay. Okay, now you can see that it works already. นะครับ The field map it fill the whole country if it has the order นะครับ in here. So in here you have the shipping country that is Canada, US, Brazil นะครับ Argentina and so on นะครับ Right, so that's why in this case because this visualization นะครับ the field map only works when you have the country only นะครับ not the full address like that. Okay, right. Okay then นะครับ everyone if you don't have any question นะครับ just save your Power BI report file นะครับ we will just like use it on the next time. Okay, right. Okay then นะครับ everyone up to this point do you have any questions ครับ